So in this vlog, I wanted to talk about judging people and why I sometimes don't want to make recordings, because in a lot of ways I kind of feel like every time I make a recording, I'm judging the people I live around. And in one of the vlogs that I made, I actually talked about this. I kind of talked about it indirectly. I was just like, I wouldn't judge people if they didn't box me or put me in a box in which I have no choice. And I kind of wanted to make that point in that last in the the last in the last vlog that I made that covered this topic, or I kind of think I indirectly covered it, and I kind of wanted to make that point. See, the thing about the gang stalkers are manipulative sociopaths, and they think like sociopaths. And I don't know how to better put it. Sociopaths are manipulative as fuck. So they're antisocial. All of them are antisocial. I can almost guarantee you that. So the thing about a manipulative sociopath is that they know how to bait you into stuff. So like if they know that you're a Christian, they can bait you into acting outside of that, I think is what I'm saying. Like everything about this operation is manipulative. So they've been manipulating from the beginning. And they have technology now so they can get in your head. I've been reading a lot about this mind reading technology that Stephen Maddow was talking about. I actually believe they're using that in the operation. I do believe that. So they can read your mind, and they're complete antisocial psychopaths. And they're reading your mind. Imagine what you could do with that. Like, you could manipulate the shit out of somebody. They could be in your fucking head, planting ideas, doing all sorts of evil shit. So they're doing all this evil shit. And there's like a whole fucking gang of them. I don't know how many there are, fucking thousands of them. And they're in your head, fucking reading your head, manipulating the shit out of you, your fucking entire life. They literally developed an entire operation around reading your fucking mind and fucking with your head. And you will be dealing with that shit for years and not even know you were dealing with it. I mean, that is literally what I'm starting to believe is happening with the operation. Like, I've been kind of researching mind reading technology and MK Ultra and all this shit. If you were a complete psychopath and you just were like, we're going to connect with other psychopaths and create like a whole fucking cult around that shit, like an antisocial cult around every person who's antisocial, every narcissist, and you just develop a cult around that shit and you invest money in it. Imagine how much damage you could do. So it's like, well, I wouldn't in a normal situation, I would not judge people, but I think that when you cross into that, when you're like, oh yeah, we recruited every antisocial gang member in the city, every antisocial person in the city, and we developed like this evil operation. I think that is kind of like taking it to such a level that you're just going to judge that. And I don't really think that you could box other people in with that. Honestly, it's kind of like the difference between the Nazis and just a normal person with issues or something. Like, the Nazis were on a whole different level because they organized. You know what I mean? Once they organized, they started like wiping out all the Jews. They went to this next level. They upgraded to like a level that very few groups of people can ever ascend to. They're like warlords. So a warlord is not like a thug or a gang member. He's on a higher level. He is a warlord. As a warlord, he can fucking, he's on some different shit, a higher level shit. That's why I said that, I don't really want to like go out in the world and make people feel bad. Like, that was never really the point of me becoming a Christian. Like, we're not really making people feel bad. We think that we have rules for a reason, and the reason is most likely to protect us. And we don't have to understand why we have these rules. That's why I would say that as far as with homosexuality and stuff like that, I personally don't have a problem with that. I think that there's a reason that's forbidden. The sex, not the feelings, but the sex part of that is forbidden. And we don't have to understand the reason. We just have to respect the fact that just because you have these feelings doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea to act on the feelings. If you take gang stalking, for example, how many people who are TIs felt like they should take something and beat a gang stalker's ugly face in? Of course you would have these feelings. Would you be evil? No, of course not. These are the most insufferable pieces of shit that have ever lived. It's normal for you to want to beat their fucking ugly face in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you should. And I think it's kind of the same concept. So Jesus would be like, turn the other cheek, because he gets this. Like, sure, a gang stalker is an actual troll. He's like a fucking mythical troll. He lives under a bridge. He's ugly and he pisses everybody the fuck off. He's a fucking troll, a parasite. And it would make sense for a normal person to want to stomp his ugly troll face in. That makes sense. But just because you have those feelings doesn't necessarily mean that you should act on them. If you act on them, you fucked up. And I kind of feel like a lot of the rules in the Bible are basically saying that just because you have these feelings doesn't necessarily mean you should act on the feelings. But the feelings themselves, we don't, like, I wouldn't go as far as to say that you're evil because you have feelings like that. I know a lot of them are just, based on us as just, we don't have control over a lot of our feelings. Like, I don't have control over the fact that gang stalkers could make me hate people or hate them. But then again, I think it's normal for us to hate these type of people, or not hate them, but think they're despise them. That's normal. And I don't think that a lot of the criticisms that people give towards the Bible are fair, because I don't really think that the Bible is trying to just like tell us these things in order to make us feel bad about ourselves. I think it's to protect us from acting on feelings that could lead to things that, negative things. And the comparison I would use is why it would be normal for you to despise gang stalkers, but just because it's normal for you to despise them doesn't mean that it's a good thing, because if you despise them, they get the upper hand and they will destroy you with it. So it doesn't make you a bad person to think gang stalkers are scum, or a piece of shit that be stomped like roaches. That's not bad in itself, because they are the type of people who a normal, reasonable person would feel that way towards. Everything about them is fucking disgusting. They're trolls. They piss you off. They want to piss you off. All that makes sense. But the point is that just because you have feelings doesn't mean you should act on them. So homosexuality being a perfect example of this, homosexual feelings are not forbidden. It's the act itself that's forbidden. So basically the Bible is saying, do not act on these feelings, even if you have these feelings. And I think that's where there's like all this confusion. So that my thing is just, well, you shouldn't act on them for your own protection, I think, more than anything else. And I would understand if the homosexual community is not good with that, but that's my interpretation. So hopefully, people would not really think that just because they were born with sexual feelings that may be inappropriate, that's like a judgment on them, or they're bad people. Gang stalkers are bad people. And there's plenty of them out there. They're bad people, and they try to find anything that they can find in order to make people feel like shit, because they're shit and they know they're shit, but they're consciously shit. Like, they get up and think, I'm fucking crazy as shit. I'm going to fucking terrorize everybody. They get up and make choices like that. And they want to lump us all in with that, and we'd have like the people who are claiming to be Christian, and they would be trolling the homosexual community. I don't have a problem with homosexuality personally, but I don't think that the Bible is teaching us to go out and troll them either. So like, and that's an example. And then another example is just me going back to, well, yeah, if I cursed out some thug for being the biggest, most antisocial troll that's ever lived, does that make me a bad person? Absolutely not. See, because when I go out into the world, just because I might want to take a gang stalker and beat his fucking face in with a stick, just because I might I might think about that, or think maybe somebody needs to do that to that piece of shit, that doesn't make me a bad person. He's the bad person. He's the pathetic, antisocial piece of shit gang member troll who's out there basically trying to do everything possible to make people feel that way. And we come up with excuses, and that's another thing. I don't think we should come up with excuses for these type of fucking people. No more than I come up with excuses for being fucked and being a criminal towards people, even though I got fucked over as badly as I did. If anybody has an excuse to be a criminal, it's me. But I'm not going to use that to become a criminal or to go out and make everybody's life miserable. It's a cop out. Not all the time. Like, not all the time. When you get this extreme, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a cop out. But I do believe that we should try to have some personal responsibility, or else the chimps, those chimps out there, would use that as some sort of, excuse for their shitty ass antisocial behavior. Because that's what they do. They go out in the world and say, hey, look, I'm a nut. And I'm going to go fuck everybody else shit up and make it seem like everybody should be a nut, or, they have their excuses for their shitty behavior. I don't think we should allow them to place us in that box. As a matter of fact, I don't really think that box fits, because regardless of whatever happened to them, they did not have somebody creating an entire fucking operation around their criminal ass. They just didn't. Anyhow, with that said, let me close.